Hello, everybody, and welcome to our about quarterly, our Q&A, our question and answer for materials. This is a session dedicated to the materials that you may have purchased from our shop at shop.colorvowel.com. I'll put that in the chat. Or maybe something that you are thinking about purchasing, or something from our Redbubble shop, because we also have our Redbubble shop. And I'll be putting that in the chat as well. Okay, so I'm Karen Taylor of the Color Vowel Chart, and I'd love to start with your questions in the chat. That will help us kind of group the questions into meaningful units. Sounds just like teaching, right? All right, so we're just taking a moment in the chat, and I'll take that opportunity while you're thinking, and I will find that opportunity to share with you our Redbubble shop link. If you're unfamiliar with Redbubble, it is a different company, and they are not really, how can I put it? They're not a teaching material company. They're a printing company, and they print images that we provide them, our images, on various products. So it's very handy, especially for international shipping. If you're outside the United States, you can order through Redbubble and those materials can get to you, and that's nice. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that too when we have a chance. Here's our Redbubble shop. Okay, so if you go to redbubble.com and then just search for Color Vowel, 2 words or 1 word, either one will come, you'll see our shop. Okay, we will have some time to talk about the shop as we move along. Okay, wonderful. I'm just checking the questions now in the chat. And good. Sharon would like to know more about the classroom games book. Wonderful. Either of those. Good. We see a couple of those. Color Vowel posters. Did you like those, Barb? Those were good quality. Yeah, Redbubble does a nice job with those. And they do all of our printing now for posters. Good. The color it out cards. Good, Donna. So we have regular play and domino play, but there are a few other ways to play. Good. And Barb, you want that Gray Day amazing hoodie. Nice. Let's see. And Sharon says there are 2 books. Oh, which one is better if you have to choose one? Boy, that's a tough question. I'm not sure I'm going to answer that. Why would I, right? They're all good. They're all good. I want to greet Dorley as she comes in the room. We have several trainers or 2 I want to acknowledge now.
Hello,
Is our level 3 trainer. She's in Japan, and Dorley's here. Dorley, where in the world are you?
I'm in Brazil right now, in southern Brazil.
All right. You have a fellow Brazilian in the room, Alanir. I want you to just know that Dorley is in Brazil a lot. She goes between the United States and Brazil, and she is doing all kinds of wonderful training events in Brazil. So
Thank you.
fantastic. Well, folks, thank you. I'd like to start with the question that was at the top, which was Color Vowel games. And specifically, we have 2 books now. Our second one just came out. Raise your hand if you've recently purchased one or both of the Color Vowel classroom games. Nobody yet. Oh, you're thinking about it. Great. Okay, well, let's get that going. Let's see here. I'm going to pull it up for you. Dun. I should have had it ready to go. 1 second here. So Color Vowel Classrooms Games is a hybrid book, and everybody likes to throw words around like hybrid or digital or virtual. This is truly a hybrid book. It is such an interesting product and such an interesting object. What's exciting about it is that you can use it as simply a book that you print and then you use. So think of it as an activity book that as you use it, you're taking out a page, cutting it up, using it as a sorting activity, or as maybe you're making copies and the students complete, say, a crossword that's in there. Okay, so in other words, you consume it. You print it and you might consume it. Or you might use it online, in which case your students can access the digital versions of each of these games. And so I'll give you some insights into that. Let's just grab that for a moment here. classroom activities. I'm going to show classroom games number 2 only because it's new. Is it better? I will not say that classroom 1 is any less engaging than classroom books 2, but it's really fun seeing what Laura has done recently with it. So let me share that item with you. Great. So this is Classroom Games Book 2. All of our books come with a basic introduction to the concept in case you're buying this for somebody, as well as a really handy photocopiable page that you could either you could print and then share with your students, or you could send this to them as a single page. You're not to share the entire document, of course, but if you needed to share something for them to use as they get to know Color Vowel, you could, okay? Each of our books have explanations of the puzzles and then a table of contents, okay? As you can see, we've got several kinds of activities. One is called Colorgories. And this is the one I'll spend the most time on because it's probably the least familiar and at the same time the most exciting in some respect. Memory and matching games are great. We are familiar with that kind of game. Odd color out is kind of like those other games where you would say one of these things is not like the other, and then the student has to decide what that is. Only in this case, it's words and how they sound, okay? We all know crossword puzzles, we all know word searches, and we all know mazes, but these have a functionality online that's very exciting so that you have basically think of it as the book is your classroom activity and the online versions of these are your homework as a reinforcement and a review, right? So that way you get to visit it twice, which is what great homework does, okay? Let's start and just talk briefly about Colorgories. And for that, I'm actually going to stop share and use a version that I have printed out. So what I've done is I've actually printed out a page from the book and I did the cutout. Let me find my, there we go. All right, so this is just a table, but I can take these guys and I put these on the table. Let me move my sound over here. And immediately you can start saying these to yourself and trying to find which words sound the same in their stressed vowel. Okay. You might, I'll move some of these if I need to in just a second. Here we go. Okay, so we have several, all the way from summer and midnight and Sunday up to winter and afternoon. I think you can see everything, right? Now what the learner will do, they can do it either by themselves in a tutoring session with you or in groups together, is they'll start to sort these. And there are 4 words in each category. There are 4 categories. So if you like the games offered, some of you play online games. There's a game called Categories put out by the New York Times. This is based on that idea where we tell you 4 and 4. So afternoon, afternoon, ooh, ooh, ooh. What other word has that same stressed vowel sound? We'll think afternoon, ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, that's a blue moon sound. And for this, let's see, I'm going to use, just because I have it and it's fun, I'm going to use my little Color Vowel coin. Not for sale yet, it's just a prototype. But this is definitely blue moon. I need to find 3 more that are blue moon words. You could open your mic if you would like to offer an answer.
June.
Good. So June. Let's find June, June, June. Where did it go? There we go.
Up by
There's,
winter. Yeah.
great. There's June. Okay. 2 more.
Noon.
Noon. There we go. And
Tuesday.
great. There's Tuesday. And we've finished it out. We can go ahead and seal that up. And we've got a nice flood here. So look at what has happened. I mean, we've done so much. We have parsed in our mind which one is stress. Is it day or twos? Tuesday, Tuesday, noon, afternoon, not afternoon, right? And June. We've also, in addition to finding stress in multisyllable words like Tuesday and afternoon, we've also overridden what we see, the letters that are different spellings. So U-E, O-O, U, and O-O, right? So there's a lot that's gone into that moment and so forth. So this is basically a very simple, in this case, pretty simple and yet deceptively not simple, right? Simple task with robust learning going on, as especially when you train learners to always say what they touch. If they move it, they say it. June, June, June. Noon, Tuesday afternoon, right? Similarly, now this is an example where Laura will, with some games, simply provide the words written. I don't know if you can see, you might have already noticed that there's an underline here written in a pencil. So often she'll leave these unmarked so that the learners can mark it, or that you can decide before you photocopy and print it, you can say, oh, my learners are beginners. They need to have the line before they start this game. So you get to decide how much scaffolding you're providing. In some of the games, they're already underlined. So she has a variety of markups to give you, essentially train you in different ways of doing this, right? So you might mark it up Friday, as you see here, night. And of course, you're teaching your learners how we underline, that we underline the stressed vowel letter or letters. And there's a lot in that little message there. What is a vowel letter? So there's a lot happening here that you can ease into, or you can simply have them run with it because they are already onboarded. They're already aware of what to do. Okay. Comments from folks. Who is using this? I see Anne in the room now. Hi, Anne. Another one of she's a
Hi,
trainer in
everybody.
training. So glad to have you here. Are you using any of the classroom games, maybe from
I
one, or is this new
am.
for you?
I have been. I've been doing the ones virtually when I was teaching online. I haven't cut these ones up and used this way in a classroom, other than maybe when they first came out. But I know students love them.
Yeah.
I like that they're
Karen,
all around a category. I'm sorry. I like that they're all around a category. So if you're teaching those kind of words, you're reviewing the words that you've been,
yes, that are in a unit per
They're
se.
Yes.
Yeah.
thematic, exactly. These are
Yeah.
thematic units. I love what I love here in this particular, and again, I just talked to Laura today. She's actually working on her next book already. Um, I'll I'll tell you at the end if you remind me what the theme is. But things like this interplay between night and midnight. So each game has its own little like fun ahas that, oh, you're right. Like night is in both, but this is a compound. Midnight. So these two words look very similar, have the same word in both, and yet one, midnight, belongs up here with minute, winter, and spring. And then here's night with Friday and time and what's my last one?
July.
July. And this just looks so sticky. It looks so mustard, jolly, or Julie, or so many things it could be, July, and so forth, right? Anne, I'm going to credit you now. Anne gifted me these little prototype coins. They're little
Yeah.
plastic
I was going
3D
to ask
printers.
about that.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I was
They're
going to
just a
say,
prototype. I don't have them to sell.
oh, and those need to be in the shop, most definitely. I thought that's perfect because that, you need something you can use over and over again besides the cards. I love
Yeah.
that.
They're really neat. They're very touchable. And we should talk about like the 3D printing,
Hmm.
Oh,
uh, you know,
yeah. Yeah. Oh,
right? Because
that's
this is
cool.
it, is we actually we invite teachers who have piloted materials. This is what Laura did with Color It Out. It's what she's done with the classroom books. Everything has been created by teachers who use these things. We're not, it's not me. It's not me in my head making this stuff. So here's Anne in the room who has made the coins. I know how I love to use them, but I imagine, Anne, you've seen many uses for them.
Yeah, I use them all the time. Sometimes even as gifts for students that win something, I give them the one with their name. Yeah, how color their name is. But yeah, so it's great.
I like it to finish off a set, like
Yes.
done, right? And then winter, here we go. I don't have every color vowel yet. I'm still collecting them one by one, apparently. I got a nice little collection, partial collection from Anne, but I'm going to go down and visit her and see if I can get all of them. Okay. So we get, an idea of how this works. If we leave and go back to the printed, the document I was showing you earlier, now I think a lot will light up for you. So for example, you mentioned that there are themes, right? Take a look. How many of these themes come up in your own teaching? If not in an actual unit, then definitely, in small talk. Let's say maybe you don't teach about the weather, but it comes up. It's nice to have small talk with the weather. Or how many times does olive sock come up as something you need to focus on with your learners? Almost every language group learning English struggles with olive sock. And if you haven't had a chance yet, I will highlight right now. Now Yuki's in the room and she delivered a fabulous session. Hi now. Wave. There we go.
Hi.
Now has a wonderful session in the Premium Access community from our conference just last weekend, where she touches deeply on why Japanese learners struggle with olive sock. And it's profound and yet simple, and then profound again. I was mind blown, really. Okay, we've got brown cow. So what do these look like? And what does the virtual look like? Let me come down to one of the games. So since you're here, or if you're watching this online, you can do this right now. Just a tiny glimpse. Take out your phone and point your camera. Don't take a picture, just point the camera at this QR code. Okay, this is the kind of real-time tech training I provide. You're very welcome.
Yeah.
When you hold your phone up, what will happen is you're not taking a picture. You will see something pop up, probably a yellow or some kind of bright sign that says open in. It might be Chrome or whatever your default browser is. So you click on that.
Can you
and
make
then
it a
in
little
my-
bit larger too?
I
Larger?
can, sure. Let me
Okay.
do that.
Yeah,
There we go, right
there we
there.
go. Let's see if that'll work.
Okay. And then I'm going to change screens in a minute here. So go ahead and scan, and then I'm going to show what's on my phone. Okay.
Not taken.
Not
Yeah.
taking? No? Just
No,
have
let
to
me,
hold it over it.
yeah,
Okay. Who else? Is anyone else who's successful? Let me ask that.
maybe it's
Really?
the angle. Let me
Yeah.
see. Maybe it's the angle I'm holding it.
Yeah. Here. Right here.
Yep. Ah, there it goes. There it goes.
Okay. Try
Oh,
again.
I got it.
You
I had
got
to
it?
stand on one
Yeah.
foot, but it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay.
So
Okay,
then when
good.
you get it and you click on the invitation, what you get looks like next step. Now I stop. We're just going from device to device to device. All right, now I'm going to share my phone. So you get to see what it looks like there. And so learners are able to do this, let's say at the end of class, or you send them the link, which is also in that document, the actual link. And yeah, it's in color. Exactly. So here, hold on one second. I'm going to share. There we go. My goodness. I'm having a technical problem here. Let me see what I can do. By AirPlay. 1 second. So if you're looking on your phone, you're already experimenting. That's fine. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just dealing with a technical cable issue here. There we go. All right. And all right. So now if I can get my mouse to behave. There we go. All right. So here we are. We happen to be on the page now that gives you some basic instructions at the top. And then as I come down, okay, it's simply counting up, which gives me an idea as a learner, how long it's taking me to finish. On the phone here, here's Coyote. I'll touch that. This is categories, coyote, coyote. Notice that here Laura has now added images, so there's a slightly different experience, and it's scaffolded with the underline. Coyote, coyote. Now, my learner's mind might come over to polar bear because there's also an O underlined. And polar bear, polar bear. Let's see if that works. Polar bear, coyote, dove. Then I might think, oh, to myself, dove, because that's an O. Dove. And maybe I don't realize or yet know that it's of, right? Dove. So I'll go with the wrong answer there. And then I come down and find monkey. Like there, I'm done. And now I'll submit my answer. And oops, wrong, it's incorrect. So we have to keep trying. Coyote, coyote, polar bear, polar bear. Oh, goat, 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 goat. And now I, the learner, am really listening to what these could be. Maybe I'm using a resource like a color vowel organizer. I might be talking to a friend, Roadrunner. So doing this as a review activity is powerful because they can recall what happened in the classroom. And you are able to walk around, whether in Zoom or whether in person, to monitor and provide those models. Submit. There we go. Okay, so that first one is Rose Boat. Great. Anyone want to take a turn here? I see now. Will you tell me what my next category is on my phone?
Okay. So I've done mine. So
What should I push?
like-
I'll push
okay,
jellyfish.
jellyfish. I love jellyfish.
Me too. Jellyfish. What else?
Hedgehog.
Hedgehog. Good. Hedgehog. Both compounds, by the way.
Yeah, and bear.
Bear. And bear. And of course, my favorite, leopard. No, leopard. That's a joke.
Leopard. Yeah.
We don't say leopard except
Mhm.
because of the spelling.
So we call that the leopardo.
Yeah, it makes sense. So we have that Japanese version of leopardo and English leopard. Okay, that's kind of a revelation, right?
Mhm.
We've got turkey, bird, squirrel, and turtle. Okay, and then finally, the hardest, whatever's left is the hardest one, typically butterfly. And, a couple things you could do here is you can now look at all of them together. That's beautiful. You can flood, right? So we'd take someone like Barb. You want to flood for us the purple shirt category, just because we're always integrating with our color vowel training, right?
Purple shirt, squirrel, turtle, turkey, bird.
Great. That is more challenging than we can possibly give it credit for. Not that it won't be possible, but and not that it's really hard, but the value of flooding at the end of the game is very high. That's the value. Okay, good. Other comments here. Teacher, if you're wondering about homework, like how do I know they did it? They could simply take a screen capture and send it to you. So they could email proof of their homework being done that night or whatever the homework assignment is. Okay, good. I will come out of that for a moment. Questions so far? Okay. Going to switch back over to look at the book just a little bit more. With the book, each of those QR codes, rather, each of those QR codes also come with a link. So if you're teaching on Zoom and you want them to do it right now in the chat, for example, and you want them to do it on their computer, that's a different experience. So now I'm going to open them up in Google Chrome. I'm going to shift over to share a different screen with you, and you'll get to see what it looks like on a computer. A little bit different layout, a little more open. I like playing on a computer personally because it gives me options. Okay, here's that same game. Notice that it scrambles up the order of the words, different order. It also has, in some cases, we'll see some multiplayer options. So let's go back to the game room for a minute. This is the game room. It's actually available as a free resource. all of the games that occur here are from Classroom Book 1. In other words, think of it as a one-way street that from all of both books, you can get to the game room, but from the game room, you only see the puzzles from Classroom Games 1, and that's as samples, okay? But it's a nice way to kind of remind yourself of the format without always having the book out. So here's, for example, let's look at a transportation memory. You either love memory or you don't love memory. I happen to have the memory of a squirrel, and so memory is really hard for me. So I turn it over. I'm like, okay, Gray, remember Gray's right there. And I'm like, school bus. Okay, nope, not going to work, and so forth. You can already tell where this is going. Okay, those are those. Okay, and so forth. I seem to be talented at finding all of the color vowels. There we go. Oh, I got it. Subway. Hey, first time. And so forth. So for those who love that visual memory of where something is, the key is to have them say it out loud. Don't let them be playing this as just the eyes. It has to be the eyes and the mouth, preferably also the hand or some kind of a gesture. Okay. So that's a little bit of the memory game. Again, you can see the reset and you can also see your count. That's fine. Let's go down and look at, let's see here, memory crossword. I love the crosswords. There's just something about the functionality that makes me really happy. And teachers, when you give students a paper crossword, the first they might think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. But it's actually with the color vowel provided as a, I'm going to give this to everybody so we can do multiplayer. I'm going to put this in the chat for you. When they've got that color vowel clue, it's so much easier for English learners to actually do a crossword, okay? If you open up the link I just provided in Zoom, now I'm going to just do that, my initials. I'm going to challenge a random player. Is somebody in the room already? Raise a hand if you are in the room. Okay, I'm going to see what I get here. Okay. I'm ready. I'm ready. Oh, I see. Now someone can, I always forget how this works. Now someone can either, I can send this to someone or you can scan right now and you can play with me. Who's doing it? It looks like I get a maximum of 2 players. So Donna's going to play. She's scanning. Whoever gets in the room first, I guess. Donna, she's ready. Look at that. Okay. And let's do it. Active challenge. I'm ready. Here I go. Okay, we're both playing. And now we don't hear each other or see each other. We might be not even in Zoom together, right? Down here, I see all my clues. If I click on a clue, it's highlighted up above. If I click on an item, it's highlighted down below. So this is what color is this crossword? This is all green T words, okay? The time of day between afternoon and night.
It's not letting me in.
Oh, it's not?
I
Okay.
thought I was in, and then it threw me out to the other thing here.
Maybe I chose individual. I'm not
Okay.
sure. But let's
Maybe
go
you
ahead
did.
and look at this, okay?
Okay.
So here we are. We're in item 3, which is in the middle. The number 3 is 2 and 4. I think it's between, okay? Oh, wait. What am I doing? In the middle of the night, afternoon and night. Hold on a second. Now I'm trying to actually think about words. Help me out. The time of day between the afternoon and the night. Evening.
Evening.
Great. Okay. And so forth, right? So we're completing these sound-based clues. These are all green words in the middle. The number 3 is?
Between?
Yeah, between. All of these are high-frequency words. Any intermediate student knows these words, but has to recall them by thinking. Okay, and they're casting around not just for any word, but for green words. And that color clue is so powerful because they're now visiting it. It's like they're saying it over and over before they find it. Between, got it, between, okay? And so forth. So last one, number 5, proof that you paid for something is?
Receipt. Yeah. I'll use that.
Receipt, okay? And if I do something wrong, like something like that, agree. Oh, it doesn't finish. See, it's not solid. So I
Okay.
kind of know like something's wrong. I could replace it with, you know, whatever, and try Grieg, and it's still not right. Okay. I'd have to look at number 8, which is not expensive. And I'd come up and redo all of this. CHEAP. Oops. Sorry, my mouse is behaving strangely. AP, there we go. Okay, and when I let go, cheap. There it is, it's solid. Okay, so that's an idea of how the crosswords work. Questions? What would you like me to show or do or answer?
Well,
Word
if
searches. Go ahead.
if there's I tried a couple of different times and it wouldn't let me join in with that. So is it because I'm on a phone instead of on a laptop?
No, it shouldn't
Because
be. I
okay.
don't know. I don't know if multiplayer maybe is quirky, but just try, if you go to the game room, this is all, the easy way to get here, by the way, is if you go to, what is it, colorvowelgames.com. That's a way to
Okay.
get your students straight to our, oh, nice, color. I'm really demonstrating the beauty of a Friday afternoon to you, aren't I? Color
Is there
Vowel
like a
Games.
backslash, a forward slash, a backslash or
No,
something? No, there
no,
it
it
is.
just
Okay.
reflects. It just takes you here. Colorvowelgames.com. I'll put that in the chat for you. Color Vowel Games. I just had a typo before. .com. Okay. And great. So nice to hear now that your students love that. Here is a place for your students to come where they can learn about Color It Out. They can get to the classroom games book. They can purchase it for themselves if they want. And then the game room itself. So this is just a general page about our games, including, by the way, links to our how to play games. This is a PDF, a couple of videos for teachers, okay? We just kind of use that as an easy place to go. And then here's again our game room, okay? And again, the game room just gives glimpses, and then our books 2, books 3, you get to a game room page from those books for now. In time, we'll develop a real game room with like a login, but right now we're still, we're doing this in a very kind of on the ground kind of way, okay? Doing what we can easily for folks, okay? What else? Let me stop there for a moment, see if there's anything else we didn't do down here. Word searches are fun. Mazes are super fun. Let me go back to the book to show you a couple of the games that don't show up here yet, because we just rolled this out days ago. Okay. And then we'll get to a couple of questions from our other materials. We'll move along in just a moment here. All right. So we're back in the book. Let me share with you. And so what Laura likes to do is she mixes things up as far as how it looks on paper versus how it looks in the online version. And it's not predictable. Like, she basically keeps it moving because it partly has to do with the kinds of resources that she's putting together. So these are all black line versions of the animals. They're different from the online colorful ones. This one is job interview. As you can see, both of these are without underlines. Okay. You can cut off the answer key, by the way, and simply keep it in an envelope or somewhere close by. And then students can check their answers on their own while you're circulating, right? So you have a large classroom, you can make 3, 4 sets of these, and now you have 3 or 4 tables of players. They check their own answers. If you copy different puzzles, then they can move from table to table, do a different puzzle every 15 minutes. You want to do stations, for example, right? Let's see down here. All of these are no underline, so she's giving you room for you to do the underline. Okay, these are professions. As we come down, you get a template so you can make your own categories, or students can make their own categories with drawings or words, and that's pretty creative. Okay, as we come down, this is one of our favorite games, mustard, not mustard. This is where, there are a lot of words in there that you get to basically sort them and figure out the answer. They're so close to each other, those two colors, right? Every time you see a dotted line, it's to cut, of course, into pieces. And then every one of these has an equivalent online, okay? This is the game I was mentioning earlier. We don't have a version online that you see in the game room yet, but if we go online, we'll find it. Essentially, you say the words and figure out which one doesn't sound like the other. Then you identify the color of the rest of the words and the color of the outlier. So we've got exercise, therapy, heal, dentist, antiseptic. And you can start to hear that and E is the one that is the odd man out. Online, that's a lot of fun. Let's see, I'll go ahead and have to stop, just change my screen for a second here. And
I
so
like
hybrid,
Karen.
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I really like how, even in that one example with the medical vocab, it's more expansive than what the typical introductory or basic level has for vocab.
Yes, that's right.
And they need to know these words as well, injection and, just different words besides like dose, even a dosage.
Yeah.
That's not something that's normally included. So this is great that you have a more extensive
That's right.
vocabulary
It's kind of an
list.
I+1. It's a bigger stretch and yet not too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, I want to show you this game. It's really neat in the sense that, first of all, the timer's going, so you could imagine some ways to utilize that. But notice this piece down here. It's prompting the learner to kind of hurry, right? They're having to say these words pretty quickly. Hear the one that doesn't match the flood. So watch, I'll unpause now and we'll go to next question. Surgery, cramp, nurse, hurt, emergency. Okay, cramp. Okay, next question. So I can see myself running out of time. This is going to take longer for a learner, depending on their familiarity with the words. Cholesterol, nausea, and you have to know where the stress is too. Antibiotics, right? Antibiotics, cough, cough, pharmacy, cough, antibiotics. I'm getting stressed. I can pause. So they can pause, they can figure it out. Cholesterol, nausea, antibiotics, cough, pharmacy. And then let's say I touch it. Oh, it's not right. Okay. Okay, that was the one that was right. So now I'm done because I already picked incorrectly. It's going to give me a result. Next one. You help me, everybody. Which one? Fever, pill, earache, disease, vaccine.
Pill is different.
Fever, pill. Great. Next question. Okay. Asthma, allergies, asthma, patient, ambulance, backache, patient, backache, patient, asthma, ambulance, patient. Okay. Next question. Vaccination, pain, spray, vaccination. Which one?
Aspirin.
There we go. Right? And notice something I want to point out, especially because I know we have a few fairly new people in the room. The important part of English is not knowing where the stress is and what color it is. It's doing it. It's actually being able to do it. So knowing is necessary, but doing is the only thing that's sufficient. You have to actually do it. That's what spoken English is the doing of it, right? So reinforcing and not just saying, be sure to speak, be sure to use a gesture. It's to say, practice doing this in class so that you know they have seen what good practice looks like. Otherwise, they will revert, as we all do, to sitting and looking and thinking. And those are not the pathway to improved spoken English. Okay. We've got diabetes, big words, diabetes, injection, x-ray, medicine, healthy, eh, eh, eh. I start to hear a lot of injury, prescribe, symptoms, prescription, physician, symptoms, injury, prescribe, right? And there we go. We have some results. There we go. Okay. So
Are you able to
here-
change the time allowed on these, or is it, sorry, train's going.
Say that again.
Sorry.
Okay.
I said, are you able to change the time allotment, or is it fixed?
I think it's fixed.
Okay.
I think it's fixed. I mean, I know that
Okay.
if we had enough people telling us it's way too fast, Laura, that she could adjust it. But I also know she's piloting it with her students. So, you know, it can go both ways. Give it a try, see how students respond to it. It might be that they, you know, if they get 30% right, like what was here for a second? 87.5%. If they're starting with the timing the way it is and getting 30%, then they're very motivated to try to get 40%, 50%, meaning how much practice does that involve? A lot. And that's the whole purpose of games, is that it promotes a lot of practice. So if somebody is succeeding with 100% on every puzzle, they're going to feel like, oh, got that done. You know, I've done it. Whereas it's that desire to hit 100% within the time limit that will drive them to practice, you know, 7, 8, 10 times. Yeah. Great. All right. I'd love to move along. I know we had a lot of fun with classroom games. Let's talk about some of the other questions that have come up in the chat. And I'd like to highlight also a product that maybe might not be on the top of your mind. So I'll save a couple of minutes for that. So game activities, let's see. Remind me if your question is at the top. I'm having trouble finding them all. Color Vowel posters are good quality. Thank you very much.
I think
Game
someone
activities.
asked other ways to play colored out card games.
Great. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So I just have to tell a story. So this morning, I rarely think of our games as emergencies, but we had a client over the weekend order, I guess it's Friday. They ordered on Tuesday, they ordered Color It Out. And as it turns out, our fulfillment specialist, who is my mother, my 87-year-old mother is my fulfillment specialist. She's on a road trip for her birthday. She's driving across the country with a friend of hers, and she never takes a vacation like this. And so I have a standard note for anyone who orders something this week that's material. I write back and say, please know your order will go out next week early. We have a slight delay because our fulfillment specialist is unavailable. And that all means my mom is in a truck with her friend driving across the country. And so that's what she's doing. So anyway, this client wrote back and said, it's an emergency. I need it now. I need it before Saturday. And it was the English wasn't quite clear. I could tell they were an English learner. And he said, I'm buying it for my wife. I was like, oh, she's a teacher. Anyway, long story short, I noticed that they were located in DC, and I live near Washington, DC, right outside. And so I offered to meet him for coffee and give him one of my old games because it's all I have. I don't have the product here. And so we met and we played. And then he went home with an old deck, and the new one will arrive later. But it was utterly delightful. We just sat down and played Color It Out today. And here are some ways that we played. I'm going to share that with you. All right. So whenever you have the game, I just want to point out, part of it is knowing different ways you can play, and part of it is knowing how early you can play. You know, I have a teacher in DC, again, Washington, DC, who uses it anytime someone new comes to his room. So a newcomer, meaning a student who just arrived in the country and they are enrolled. Let me turn down my light here. Let's see what I can do. Oh, look at that. That's pretty good. Maybe I'll turn on the light. This is much better. There we go. Much better. Get a little focus and lock in. Okay. So the moment someone comes into the room, he takes out the deck and gives it to his students who already know some color vowel, and they let the kids teach the new kid. And that's how he onboards them into color vowel. That can happen, of course, with adults too, right? And so if you give students the cards, as long as they know how to, there we go. I don't know why this is getting stuck like that. There we go. Okay, I want the red thing to go away, but anyway, it won't. Okay, as long as they know what the symbol represents. You say, oh, this is a black cat word. This is orange door, Laura, black cat class. The moment they have those representations down, they will figure out easily how they want to use the cards. So some people might you could do this if you were playing online. And this is a document camera, by the way. And I like this document camera. It's really handy for teaching online. I'll just sort of move everything over a little bit for you to see. So you could play, first of all, just with cards up. Simple layout, cards up. Here's the discard deck. That's easy, right? And from here, I could simply invite one of you, for example. I can cover these. There's a how to play card, by the way. I could keep laying these out. There's nothing that's going to break. Now I have a few gray day cards. So I have something to play with. And I could invite, Dorley, I'll use you as my ringer. Dorley, can you match two of the words with the same symbol, please? And you can do it with your voice by either you start with, say, gray day April, gray day away. That would be a turn. So I'll take that turn as an example. And I'd like you to take a second turn starting with gray day April.
Gray day April, gray day afraid.
Very good. Okay. End of the turn. I come here. I'll cover up my how to play. And I'll cover up my wild card, by the way, because we'll use wild when we play Uno. We don't really need it right now. What the heck? I'll leave it there. Okay, great. Let's see. Sharon, you have your camera on, your microphone on. Could you take a turn? Do we see any turns? Why don't you
Nope.
go ahead and, yeah, let's just play with this wild card for a minute. Let's try rowboat toe, and then you can decide what your wild card is. Just play rowboat toe.
Okay, roseboat toe, roseboat no. With the wild
Good. Okay, you can make it up. That's great. See, I didn't know how she was going to use the wild card, but the way she just used it is she offered a word of her own. And I honestly hadn't thought of that option until you just did it. So that was her wild card, rowboat no. That was brilliant. I can then come along. Oh, guess what? So we remember no, and now we can have now. Would you like to take that turn with rowboat no, and then you can play the second one?
Roseboat no, roseboat sewing.
Okay, thank you now. And so rowboat sewing. Good job. All right, there's the sewing. And what a neat override that is to cover, basically cover it up and fill in that O sound that we know is coming. And instead of saying suing or sewing, sewing, right? Good. Okay. And so this is a really easy way to play, whether it's online. I could do this at a table, right? All that matters again is the use of the color, the image, the word, and the speaking, and some kind of gesture. It might be with the finger, right? Gray day today. And this, I remember piloting this many years ago now, and the student had in his mind a different sound file, and it was today, today, today. So then every time he touched it, today, today, and in time it became easier and easier. The repeated play of the game is what lays in a new sound file for him. Comments and questions? we gave teachers in Indonesia the same deck, and they ended up playing head to toe. That's what we call it now. And it's like dominoes, but they simply took
Okay.
the whole deck, and they're like, we're just going to keep laying this out. And they made this giant, I wish I had the picture handy, but they made a giant spiral. So they would play rowboat sewing, rowboat home, cup of mustard come, cup of mustard trouble, etc. Okay. I'm going to mute a couple people because I hear.
Karen, I can't hear you.
Thank you. What would be fun is to add a challenge is to invite them to add a sentence. So now that we've done head to toe with sewing and home, can you make a sentence with those two words? Can you? So Barb, you have a sentence for us?
I'm sewing at home today.
Great. Yeah. And you're going to stretch to make sure we have a word in there to prove we know what we're saying. I'm sewing a dress at home today. You know, all kinds of ways you can expand on the task. But I'm sewing at home. Boy, that's grammatical. Like that's huge. You just pulled grammar out of your head in your spoken English. Beautiful, right? Um, I see trouble coming. So they can have enough agency to change the form of the word, add ing to it. So suddenly what started out as a pronunciation reading game is now a sentence grammar speaking game. Okay. I've seen, I watched one of my trainers did a workshop a few years back, and the teachers, not only did they make sentences, they made sentences that connected to make a story. And the result was hilarious and amazing. So they had this very funny story that, you know, it turns into all kinds of comedy when you have to make these things link together in meaning. Okay. I like this game. You might notice with this particular lighting that you can't really maybe see that this is purple or this kind of looks like cornflower blue. The colors don't necessarily matter because the images are what learners learn. The colorblind students can play this game. And easily 10% of the population is colorblind, by the way. And so this is just important to note that seeing color is not as important as them knowing what these images are. And that's also why the keyword phrases are so important in this whole method, right? The color that you see is a sensory reward that those of us who are not colorblind have as a privilege. But seeing color is not intrinsic to using the color vowel system. Okay. Anyone want to ask or talk about that briefly? Weigh in. Okay. Great. A third way, of course, is finally, one more way is dominoes. So we have these two maybe as the starting cards. Everybody has a hand of cards. You could put them on the table, by the way, because some students, my adult students in New Mexico, many of them came from, I'll call them, say, local cultural backgrounds that really did not like card playing. They had never held a fan of cards. This was very uncomfortable and weird, and for some people almost taboo. But if I said, oh, this is an educational game, and we put these cards on the table, now everybody's comfortable. So the act of playing cards has some, in some places, has cultural touchstones that are contrary to, you know, to playing in the classroom. And people will say, I don't play cards. But now you're not playing cards, you're learning. Right? So here we are. Let's say these are the student one, this is student two. You have this in the middle. And now, here we go. There's thought right there. I don't know if you can see that. There's thought. And they say olive sock drawing, olive sock thought. This next student has coat. They play it here. What kind of flood does that sound like? Let's do all three, right? Walter, I haven't heard your voice. Would you go ahead and do the honors, starting with Rose Boat Home in whichever order?
Roseboat home, roseboat coat, and roseboat sewing.
Great. Guess what we're waiting for? We're all excited. As the game continues, it's going to play all over the table, and somebody's going to play that fourth card. And when they do, you get a big, everybody could play this one, right? Then you can top it off with a coin if you have one, which I don't have one for Roseboat, so I won't put it down. But it's really satisfying when you get all four. And then you say, this is, whenever it's fourth, we do a group reading and everybody's there. Roseboat coat, roseboat sewing, roseboat low, roseboat home. Woohoo! So a lot of fun that way. Are there any other ways that some of you use the cards? There's one more. It's going to sound sacrilegious. I won't do it in front of you, but you could buy a deck and you simply cut them in half. Uh-huh. And so
Yes, I've done that. I've
Anne
done
Spalding
that.
did this. You've done this?
Yes, yes.
Did it feel weird having the scissors in your hand with the cards?
Yeah, that was a little painful, but the results and having the cards sorted in different ways was phenomenal.
Yeah, tell us more.
Well, I had them all cut up and all on the table, and I asked the students to sort by color. So they were all sorted by color, and then they started reading the words for each color. And I encouraged them to look at spelling. How does the spelling help them? What do they notice about patterns of spelling? That was very revealing.
That's right. So those of you who have taken level 2 spelling exploration might recall what we do in spelling exploration is look at frequencies of a given pattern within a color, right? So you can do that a little bit here without cutting up the deck. I did it today, in fact, with my gentleman from Morocco, the one I had lunch with, or whatever, coffee with. Oh, wrong page. Hold on here. That was strange. I want my camera again. There it is. Boom. All right. And so what we did is I said, oh, let's just take out all of the Rose words for a minute. So we took out, here's home, low. Is it the same or is it different from home? We're like, oh, it's different. OW versus O. We did that, right? And then we took out sewing, EW. That's different. And so we just started making a column, and we had to visually ignore these others. And that's the difference. When you cut them, if you're working with low literacy learners or anyone who's going to be distracted, that's a very nice, elegant kind of liberation, is to only have the tops, right? And then these you can sort differently.
Excuse
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
Karen, you can also overlay them so you hide.
Right. We're not there yet, though, because we don't have any
Ah.
more. So I'll show you. Yes.
I see.
So here we've got low home, low sewing, and OA. I mean, I haven't had a chance to yet, right? Wow. So here's no, and I can notice this too. There's, oh, but that's E. It's like, but is it underlined? No, right? So we can put no with home, and now we're making a list. And now we have a kind of a bar graph that's reaching downward, right? Here's October. We start to notice, no pun intended, notice, right? And so forth. What else do I have here in my hands? I love just looking through the cards, by the way, because the way we've designed them, you can easily see both top and bottom. So it's really easy to just find another rose word. I see it, I pull it out, and I sort it. Okay. So that's part of it too, is just the ease. All high frequency words, top 2,000 words that we use in the English language. Every card, I'll now move on to a final feature. Every card is a little conversation piece, either because the two words easily go together as an idea. I'm going to cup of mustard shut my white tie eyes, right? I'm going to shut my eyes. Or, it's been orange door 40 green tea years. It's been 40 years since I last did something. You could take attendance. My son is a boy. Okay. Thursday is coming soon. Don't worry. I understand. Okay, so a lot of these are sentence level kinds of, not exactly collocations, but they go together. Some of Powerful Storm, okay? Some of these, see if I find a good one. Some of these are lexical, meaning vocabulary related, but are more like these are opposites, right? So we have red pepper west, green tea east rather. Find a couple of other
You really need to
examples.
turn those the opposite direction.
Do you feel triggered?
I feel triggered.
This one is a third kind of category of words. What do these two words have in common other than that they could be used in a sentence like you must be busy? There's something else that is happening in this card. What's underlined in each word?
Right, they both have what or you.
Yeah, they're
They have
both
different
U's,
sounds.
but one is mustard and one is
Right.
silver, right? What is happening here? Same thing, right? OE, OE. This is literally unbelievable to some of our students. I can't believe that one is blue and one is rose. And it so happens toe and shoe are lexically related, right? Your toe is in your shoe, okay? Same thing here. But in addition, this is a grammatical relationship, plural and singular of the same word, same letter, different pronunciations, different sound. This one is more like, actually, this is a nice one. I love this card because it's just the letter A and they go together in conversations about family. Notice it's not father family or father family. They're just completely two different colors, right?
Erin,
Others, yeah.
I have a question. Do students who are new readers have trouble reading upside down?
Yes and no. I mean, I think those that do, what I know is they can turn it around. Those that have trouble with that, those are low literacy students who are, thrown off, and you'll know. You're typically working closely with them. And then you turn it around as needed. And if that doesn't work, that's when you cut the cards up. That's precisely when Anne, she's in our private Facebook group. Those of you that are in my Color Vowel community there, she posts a lot. And she's been working with these cards since as soon as we've had them, since 2014. She's been doing that now for 5 years, 11 years. And so she has decks that are the game and decks that are cut up, one deck that's cut up. She does word sorts, and that way there's no other distraction. Because a learner that's at that level also, you might be using a phonics approach of gradually exposing them to the highest frequency spelling patterns first, and then later on the other, right? So family of father might not be happening at the same time in your instruction. You'd be using both words orally, but you might not be exposing them in written English to both yet. And I say that respectful of what a phonics program is all about, which is sequencing. Okay, great. So I hope this highlights, the many different ways you can use the game. I will quote the gentleman I had coffee with this morning. This is his 7th language he's learning. He's from Morocco, already speaks, of course, Arabic. He speaks perfect Spanish. Our entire coffee was in Spanish because that was the easiest language for both of us. And so he said in Spanish, this is a very, very important game for everybody. He said it's for all levels. He taught, he was a professor of Spanish in Morocco. That's what he said. And then I said, yes, it is. I said, it's because it's so simple, right? And he said, yes, it's simple, but it's very deep. He said, I couldn't believe it because that's what we always say. It's simple, deep. That's our kind of, our tagline to all of Color Vowel is that it's simple and it's deep. So I just found today was mind blowing to meet this gentleman who, I didn't know him from Adam. And suddenly he's saying all these deep things. And I felt like, wow. All right, folks. So this is our materials Q&A. We could meet for another hour, but you all have things to do, I know. If you have questions that come up, you can always reach me through any mode, whether it's through the website, whether it's through info@colorval.com, whether it's through my personal, or if you know through me through WhatsApp. But whatever the questions are, I put them in a little log for the next time we do this. And it's just been a little while. I didn't get to go tickle my file this time, but do send me those questions, okay? Any final comments or a big takeaway? What do you walk
You,
away thinking?
you said there was one other thing you wanted to say at the very end for us to remind you.
Oh, but I'd have to have a clue. Oh, I know. Laura is preparing a new book of games, and it's on demand, meaning she's had a lot of people clamoring for it, which is medical. She'll do an entire game book on medical terminology because we've got a lot of pharmacy techs and folks who are preparing for their boards or their radiologists. And so we're putting together that book. So that's going to be coming out pretty soon. That was my news.
Super.
That is great.
Takeaways and comments. Yes, Donna.
Yeah, I love, I put this over here in the chat, but I had never thought of cutting the cards until you had talked about that. And with Dorley saying that you have done that, it kind of, gives us your blessing to cut them up. But I'm going to be starting very soon here teaching a group of illiterate refugee women, illiterate in their own home languages. And I would like to use Color Vowel with them, but I'm kind of wondering if I should wait a little bit with them, or, if I could do this. But I think that it might work, with this, to go ahead and use the cut up cards so that I can
Yep.
show them, with the spelling and the frequency, use it more like that phonics approach, maybe initially. So do you think that would be okay, or do I need to wait a little bit?
You might start with image cards. I'm looking around because I've
Yeah,
stashed them. Start with image cards, and that's an easy thing because those aren't letters, right? They
true.
can learn
Right,
sounds. Give them
right.
their sound foundation,
Yeah,
right? Their soundation.
yeah.
Give them their sound
Yes.
foundation.
I work with
Their
limited
foundation.
education people and I use the pictures. So
Yeah.
it works better. The pictures work
Okay.
definitely.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
I'll plan on doing that.
yeah, so the image cards and the tiny, what one of my trainers these days calls the tiny toys. I call them the menagerie, but
Oh,
starting with
right.
objects, then matching those, not
Yeah.
even onto the chart, just onto the cards.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So you have two cards and you have objects. Let's say you have red red and blue. That's fine. Or
Mm-hmm.
green and black. I mean, far from each other on the
Yeah,
chart.
very far. Right,
Right? So
right.
that they're in really different parts of the mouth.
That's a
And
great idea.
yeah,
Yeah.
just two. And then objects that are either one or the other color. And that's how you start. And that's a lesson plan, more or less a version of that is in my book. So
Okay.
go to that beginning lesson plan.
Okay.
But replace where I have them bridging into written words, bridge into objects instead.
Okay.
Okay.
And
That,
which book is that in?
that's in the
Which?
Color Vowel Approach. That is
Oh,
the book.
that's the initial one.
Yeah.
The one
book.
like when I first signed up and got the little launch pad and everything. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Can we get a digital copy of that if we already have the printed one?
Yeah. If you talk to me, it's also in I think almost every course it has a link to it. But
Okay.
yeah. So if you have a
Okay.
course, anyway, one or the other, just
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
to
that'd
me.
be good. That'd be good. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Good. Yeah, you don't have to purchase that twice. Okay. Once is enough. Or a course in which you got it. That's all good. Okay. The last thing I'll mention is don't forget to go back into the digital library every once in a while. If you're level 1 trained or above, Biamba, you're joining me for level 1, so that's great. Everyone in the room is level 1 trained. So if you don't have access to the teacher's library, you just say, Karen, what's the password? And I give it to you, okay? But just a little on the note of what you've been talking about. Here is just a glimpse of the library. And I'll get back in there. I refresh it every once in a while with more. There's always more. Donna, you said, if you have my blessing, so much of the good stuff that's happened with Color Vowel is stuff that people just do. And then they come back and say, this is what I did and it worked. And so don't wait for the blessing. You go do the thing that, that makes sense. Okay. Some really great webinars, by the way. But as you come down, notice that we've got these wall sheets. If you teach in a physical classroom, take a look at them. They're just really simple, but you can use them with Post-its. You could write on them. Image palette and background if you teach online. Spelling exploration. That's what I wanted to show you. Start with this. And when you start introducing the letters, we made it so that it's friendly to adults. It doesn't look too young. And don't do all the letters at first. Have them simply spell do the letters of their name with coloring pencils. So what color, K, I need a gray pencil. You color in K, A. Oh, it's also gray. K, A, R. And together you work out what color you're going to paint it. I might get out, depending on my awareness, olive and maybe some purple and sort of put both in there. R on the chart. I'd trace it. So it's not the whole alphabet at first. Start with the thing they need most, which is spelling their name. Sing it. Know it as a song. Come back to it. Then start filling out other letters as you progress with them. Okay, so that's just sitting there waiting for you to print out and use. That's where I'll stop because we're 15 minutes after our stop time. Thank you for spending your Friday afternoon with me. Come again, tell your friends, and stay on if you have any particular questions, like you didn't get a download or you meant to do something, something technical. Stay behind and let's resolve it, okay? I'm going to stop record. Thanks, everybody.